Hello, people. My name is Julianna Prather. I live in Asheville, North Carolina, and I've done a lot of different types of education in the last couple years, honestly. In the last 3 years, I've bounced all over the place, and yeah, you never know where you'll end up.
That's so true, isn't it? Yeah. And it's such a small field that everybody does kind of connect. So like all three of us have worked together. You and I have worked on the same team before. It's kind of interesting how everybody kind of bounces around, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So really, I'm curious as to how you got your start.
Well, for me, it comes back to that Disney conservation educator internship, which experience in educating in a very formal sense, and especially like outdoor education. And I loved it so much. I wanted to try and find ways to incorporate education into my life moving forward. And I realized while I was in that internship that I'd had previous like quote unquote education experiences, but nothing as formal as that. Like I tutored in college. I worked as a college campus tutor for my whole college career. And even back when I was in high school, I was an assistant dance teacher at my dance studio. So I helped teach the little babies, the 2-year-olds, and older, but those were my favorite, how to dance. And it was such a blast. And I never really realized, like, hey, when I look back, there's actually a thread of educating and really enjoying working with kids. And so after that internship ended, I sort of realized maybe that's where I want to shift my focus instead of, I had environmental consulting in my mind. I had a couple other things, and I realized pretty quickly, like, actually, this education thing is maybe where I want to spend a lot more energy and time focusing on. So, yeah, in a nutshell, there you go.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. I was kind of like that too. I had a completely different mentality of what I wanted. It's awesome that you wanted to go to that Con Ed internship. I ended up at the zoo because I realized I wanted to work with animals specifically, and my first internship was a presenter internship, and I learned just how much the education part of it impacted me too. So that's pretty cool that we kind of felt that.
It's like almost two totally different paths that end up in the same sort of convergence. And then
Yeah.
again, you're able to divert from there. And that's what we love about experiential education so much. It brings in skill sets from so many different facets. And when you talk about that team in particular, there's early childhood educators, there's zoologists, there's biologists, there's journalism, there's a whole wide range of different skill sets. And they all come together to do the exact same job in like 29 different ways, right?
Yeah.
It's so cool to see.
So, Juliana, what are you working on right now?
Now, so I have two different jobs at the moment. The one is I'm stumbling over my words here. One of them is I teach English as a second language to kids in China every morning. So it's live. You're video chatting in real time, face to face. And after daylight savings took place, it's now a 12-hour time zone difference. So when it's
Wow.
7 a.m. here, it's 7 p.m. in China, which is really cool. I love, if I teach the little kids, I'll say like, oh, is it nighttime for you? And because they'll still start to get tired. I'm like, for me, it's morning, and like be super energetic. And they're like, what is she talking about? I don't understand. It's the best. So I teach kids anywhere from 3 is when they can join the program at, I think it's 3 years and 10 months old, all
Wow.
the way to, like, I've had 14-year-olds in the upper level classes. But I tend to work best with like that 3 to 6, maybe 3 to 8 range, the younger elementary school age kids, is where I really enjoy the most. And they're learning anything from like basic vocab, counting in English, the alphabet, all the way to like basic grammar rules and sentence frames and conversational topics. And it's a lot of fun. That's sort of my main job. And I do that every single morning because I can only do it for about 3 hours because of that time zone difference.
Sure, yeah.
But it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. And because it's so early in the morning, I have the whole rest of the day to do other things. And that's when I started to really think about my own tutoring business. And I launched, I don't have any like logo or anything. I mean, I do, but not like a physical prop. Right. And it's called Teacher Tutor Julianna. And I built my own website. I have social media pages that I try to post on like 3 times a week. Right. And I tutor.
We'll pop all those links up right here for you.
Yeah, link in the description. It's a lot of fun. That's brand new. The website's only been live for about a month. I had to do a lot of work behind the scenes before I could get that up and running. And now it's been live for about a month. I only have a couple of tutoring clients that are, like private tutoring just with me, not through VIP Kid. And it's been a lot of fun so far. It's a brand new venture.
I think we all love new adventures, right? So that's
yeah.
We kind of have to, don't we?
Yes. Especially this past year, you got to get creative.
But I was going to say, in this past year, I think you found some really cool niches that fulfill those desires for education, right? Like you said, the face-to-face is different, but you're still having that same sort of impact on those kids, right?
Yeah, it's wild to me just how impactful virtual education can be if the platform is designed for that in the first place, instead of having to like adapt your like teaching style and education to a virtual platform. VIP Kid has been built that way. I think they've been around for 6 years now. So their platform is like fully integrated. You can pop like AR stickers onto the kids and onto the teacher. They love it. Like it's so well put together that it actually is impactful, and you can see it like in the little 25-minute classes with them from beginning to end. You're like, wow, they just learned 4 new words and they can understand what I'm asking them and reply in 25 minutes. Like, kids are amazing.
Right. So that's actually a really good prompt. And I guess, how do you, as an experiential educator, right, somebody who typically works on hands-on with props or with devices or with animals or with whatever it may be, how do you take your best skill set, right, and make it virtual? How do you make experiential learning occur when you're halfway around the globe from your audience?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I was curious about that at first too. I was honestly pretty skeptical about being able to educate virtually and have it be effective. But the biggest thing that I use are props, and I'll find pictures on my phone and I'll show them if I said the word like turtle or something, and they kind of give me a weird look like, I don't know what that is. I'll Google picture of a turtle, hold it up, be like, this is a turtle. And they're like, oh, okay, I get it now. I'm a very visual person. So to me, I want to make everything on the screen as visual as it can be. I've got like a whiteboard is one of my standard things, and I've got like a little box of props right next to me here.
I love a good prop box.
Yeah. Dry erase markers everywhere.
Will absolutely attest to that.
So I think just trying to be visual, but of course you're in a screen, so that's kind of what you're limited to anyway. But even trying to think outside the box, like if the kids are getting distracted because obviously they're not in the same room as you, there's other things going on, like maybe mom and dad are in the room, or their younger sibling starts crying, or the dog is running around. Trying to keep them engaged can be really difficult. So being willing to be silly or like change your voice around and sound like a big giant, or like sing different sentences to get them to look back at the screen and be like, what's happening there? What's she doing? Trying to be fun and be silly and be okay with making a fool out of yourself so that they stay engaged and you hold their attention until you've met whatever your goals are for the lesson or your session. Yeah, honestly, just being a fool is what seems to keep them engaged the most.
These are great tips for frontline formal or informal educators or even parents at home that have had to adapt to, a whole new way of, the learning process over the past year. So these are great tips for them to take and to help translate, right? And it's something that you as an industry professional have kind of tweaked and perfected over the past year, I'm sure.
It was a big learning curve at first for sure, but once you've taught, different types of kids, you can kind of see, oh, for these kids, this type of engagement's going to work best. Like they're more visual, this one's more auditory, and also trying to match their energy level, right? If they're tired, they're not going to want to have like a super expressive over the top teacher in their face at the moment. So trying to match that energy level and vice versa. If you have a 4-year-old who's bouncing off the walls, get ready to just go berserks because that's the only way you're going to keep their attention. And that makes a huge difference in what they retain, because if they're not being entertained, if they're not engaged, there's no way they're going to remember what just happened 30 minutes from now.
Right. Right. I think that's wonderful that you've been able to hone, such a skill, because for me, I really think that being able to be expressive, as I was going to compliment you, I've noticed you have specific little hand things, and I love that. I love that you have what you like to use and your ways of making this little box a lot bigger. And I think personally that we're going to see, more of this online interaction, more of this online education in the future. How do you feel about that? Where do you see what you're currently doing or what you want to do go in the next year, the next 5 years?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. I think a new world has sort of opened, and it existed before, but not everybody knew about it. Not everyone was comfortable with it. Not everyone believed in it. They didn't, believe in how effective online education could be, or how, you know, how many kids it could reach.
Yeah.
And there's definitely still a lot of issues with accessibility. Obviously, not everyone has a great internet connection. It costs a lot of money to have a good internet connection and a new device that can run new programs without crashing or lagging behind. So I think now that those kind of world of virtual education has been forced upon everyone, it's my hope that the issue of accessibility will be met soon, that like school boards across the country will realize, hey, online education isn't going away anytime soon. This idea of virtual learning and having the option for kids to learn from home if they need to is not going to go away anytime soon. So this is something that we need to prioritize and research more and make sure our kids have access to it so that we can educate them to the best of our abilities and allow that to be a real tool of educating moving forward. Because I think we all saw in the last year how hard it was, in a 2-week period at first, March 1 year ago, to try and have all educators everywhere shift from their classrooms to this new platform, Zoom, which now we all know like the back of our hands.
Right.
And overnight they were asked to do the impossible. But now I think, at least it's my opinion, that online education is not going to disappear anytime soon. It's going to be used as a way to reach kids and educate kids like never before. And so hopefully we'll see an expansion of those types of resources moving forward, and we can learn how to better utilize them too.
That's a key point, I think, to the process, right? Is, we had this necessity last year, and that has to spurn forward intervention and innovation, and it has to cause change to happen. But now that the R&D time has been invested in it, right, we're going to see obviously a lower overhead, first of all, and we know the fiscal side of it always plays a key factor in any institutional decision. So I think we're going to see that happen. But then we've also got accessibility, and it is the wave of the future, where it's much, much, much easier to engage a larger demographic, a larger audience size, because you can just cast a larger net, virtually online, and all these different platforms. So it sounds like you've got your finger on the pulse moving forward. We love adaptive learning. We think it's definitely, kind of moving forward, the best option.
Yeah. And like you said, just being able to reach more people, right? Cast that larger net. If you told me a year ago that I would be waking up at 5 a.m. every day to teach kids in China, I would have said, no way, that's crazy. Like that can't be a real job. Like,
Right.
no way. But it is, and it's incredible to actually see, like, wow, these kids are learning. This is working. This is education. Wow. Halfway around the world.
Yeah.
It's a true impact for sure. If you could, okay, so you said you wouldn't go back and see yourself a year ago doing this, right? So throw the clock back even farther, right? Say 5 years ago. What would you tell Julianna there to further your career, moving forward, right? What are some of the really good choices you made? What are some of the internships, the mentors that you had that helped guide you to where you are now?
Yeah. So 5 years ago, I would have been just, I think, just going into college, or finishing my first year of college. So that was an interesting place to be the first time. Looking back on it, if I could give myself some advice, it would probably be to stay really engaged on campus. I joined a lot of clubs as a college student. I actually ended up running a few clubs on campus, joining some boards of sustainability, that kind of thing, because it went with my major. But I think if I could tell myself to pay more attention to the professors in the classroom, not just like academic advisors or leaders, quote unquote leaders on campus, but all my college professors too, and really try to maybe stay after class, go to their office hours, and pick their brains more about their career paths. That's something I really kick myself about, especially when you're required to take a lot of liberal studies courses that maybe aren't within your major. Still asking those professors the same question, like, how did you end up where you are? What decisions did you make to end up as a professor? But like, what were your jobs before this? Did you enjoy them? How did you get them?
Yeah.
And just trying to understand other people's paths, I think would have been helpful for me, having a more realistic mindset graduating college of, oh, this is going to be a very zigzag time in my life. It's not going to be this linear path that I thought it would.
Yeah, I've actually thought about that a lot too. I graduated around 6 years ago, and I kind of miss almost the contact with those professors. And there are key professors that I kind of wonder. I'm like, if I wanted to set up a Zoom call, I bet they'd still talk to me. I bet they'd still
Yeah.
answer those key questions and that kind of thing. And that's just another way that this becoming a norm is hopefully going to improve, our lives.
Yeah. Opening up that window of communication.
Exactly.
Fantastic to see that. And what I think is most exciting about it is all the kids that you've impacted over the past 3 years, and all the ones that you'll continue to impact. They're probably going to want to ring you up in a couple years, right? And pick your brain about where you've been and where you're going. And I know we're excited. We're excited to follow along on that path and see where you continue to go. Teacher Julianna is, a really big bright spot, I think, of all the things to come out of this past year, the different opportunities that are popping up for informal and experiential educators. is exciting, and we're looking forward to seeing where you continue to go, Julianna.
Thanks so much. I'm looking forward to it too. You never know.